Hi Dave, how you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah? Are you running for Parliament?
I am indeed.
Dave Jones, running for Parliament in Blakely and Broughton.
Yep. As ever.
And I'm Wendy Olson, and I'm running for Salford and Eccles. So we're going to have a chat about Dutchy, dentists and doctors. What do you think about the buses in Dutchy?
They're not as good as they used to be. When I was a school kid, I used to play in Dutchy with a few friends of mine who lived there. And you could get there from Broughton at one time on the bus.
Yeah.
Now it seems to have been bypassed by the council and transport authorities. Same as a few estates like the Whit Lane estates. Forgotten and abandoned.
Just completely left out of development. That's the way I would word it. They don't control the developers, they just pay them to do things. Go on, off you go. The trouble on Dutchy is it's difficult to get to a doctor, so at least on Whit Lane there is a very good doctor's practice, but neither of them has dentists, so to get a bus to get from there to where the dentists are is really challenging. It's really hard. You'd have to go all the way to Salford Precinct and then take another bus away. It's just such a challenge now. It's awful.
So what would you do to make things better for the people of Dutchy?
Well, the thing is about the buses, you've got to actually monitor the contracts you give out to these private firms that run the buses. So you've got to say, no, you must provide the buses which you've promised to give. They don't even give the buses on the schedules that are published. So that has to be overseen more closely by the council and by the TGM, the Transport for Greater Manchester. But actually on Dutchy, there's this really interesting problem that there's no jobs. So according to the way Greens are thinking, we should create jobs in all the little localities and not insist that all the jobs have to be in the city centre. I mean, they put the new buses in all the way from Lee, where a famous politician lives, and they go all the way to city centre, but it bypasses Dutchy again. Another thing, in Dutchy you can't get to the quays. Like many people in Salford, you cannot get public transport to go to the theatre or to see any of the things on Salford Quays. So it's really frustrating. Anyway, we could put solar on all the houses, so there could actually be work in Dutchy to convert everybody to solar power. Do you remember when they built the industrial estate near Dutchy?
Yeah.
You have to walk under the railroad tracks, and then you can get onto this big industrial estate. There's no jobs. It's like jobless growth. They're just doing trade. Actually, they're just warehouses. So we should have production. That's what Greens think. Yeah, but coming back to dentists, have you noticed you have to pay for your dental care?
Yes, I know that only too well.
And what's the Green view about paying for dental care? It's renationalise it. So basically dentistry is a lot of things that have gone towards private payment. So first you paid for your prescriptions, and then your dental, and then your eyeglasses, and now more and more people are actually paying for implants. Now an implant is a necessary form of care. It's instead of having a bridge if you lose a tooth. And you have to have your teeth in order to chew. So to me, anything that's required care should be funded by the government, and you pay your national insurance when you're working. But according to the Conservatives, they think, nope, shrink the government, make everybody pay privately. So when you're not working, you wouldn't be able to afford that care. And I don't agree with that. So every time I go in the dentist and I have to pay for the checkup, I think to myself, no, you're privatizing this. You shouldn't be privatizing it.
What's the Green Party's view on national insurance?
The national insurance, there was a scandal what the Conservatives did. So first of all, the Green Party have a democratic mechanism. If something's in the manifesto, then we can't betray that. We can't just go back on it. But the Conservatives had a manifesto. It said no new taxes, and then the Chancellor put forward a new tax. He said he was going to have national insurance for all these self-employed people. Millions of people. And of course they backed away, didn't they? So the Green view is we should have some new taxes, actually. We do think there can be new taxes on high-income people. Anybody over about £50,000 a year is going to be subject to additional taxes under a Green government. You've got to have the courage to say the government is us. It does need money to run. And then they can tax firms, large firms, and use that money to have a building program to put renewable energy. We could have wind energy on a hilltop like the church, this Pendleton Church we're at. We could have wind energy.
Do you think it's fair that somebody on, say, £20,000 a year pays 5% of their income in national insurance, where somebody on £20,000 a week pays 0.5% of their income
Yeah.
on national insurance.
Yeah. There's a lot of, how can I say it? Basically, people on high incomes are hardly paying anything compared with what they're earning. And people on low incomes are paying a lot of tax because it hits their income very hard. So I wouldn't say that it's wrong to participate in paying tax in. I don't have a problem about that. If you're earning, say, 20,000, give a little, but you should be getting a lot back because you're on that's a relatively low income. The average income is about 27,000. So after you get above 30, 40,000, then you should be putting a lot more in. If we made it proportionate, a lot of Greens think that would be a good start. So make them give, if I give 12%, then make them give 12%, which would be a huge amount. And in national insurance, they don't do that currently. So that's one of the possible ways of funding the citizens' income, is to have higher income people pay a flat rate, which would actually be progressive compared with the current system. But citizens' income is great, because even if I was paying tax on my 20,000, I would still get my citizens' income. Say about £80 a week, every week, for every person in my household. I think it's a great idea. Do you favour it?
I do indeed.
I do
yes.
too. All right, that's Salford
Can't come
Greens.
fast enough.
Yeah, Salford Greens, vote green. We need your vote. Please vote.